You think you're reading her smile, her softness, her body language. You think there's chemistry. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men are not reading women. They're reading their own lust. And lust is a terrible judge of character. Lust will make you ignore red flags. Lust will make you rewrite reality. Lust will turn you from a man with standards into a man who negotiates for basic respect. And while you're drowning in that rush of desire, she's not doing what you're doing. You're reacting. She's evaluating. You feel a pull in your body. She runs a quiet analysis. How confident is he really? How much validation does he need? How far can I push before he breaks? Is he the prize, or is he auditioning for me? You get pulled in by appearance. She watches your psychology. That's the first thing you need to understand. Men usually go first into lust. Women usually go first into assessment and control. Not every woman, not in every situation, but often enough that most men eventually learn this lesson the hard way. Tonight, I want to walk you through that gap. Why male lust makes you predictable. How some women instinctively use that predictability. How power dynamics form without a word being spoken. And the shift you need to make if you want to stop getting controlled, tested, and drained. Because this is not really about women. This is about you. Your frame, your discipline, your ability to feel desire without becoming owned by it. 1. Lust versus strategy. Why men lose the first battle. Without knowing, men are wired to notice the physical first. You see, her face, her body, her walk, her softness before you even know her name. Your biology has already cast a vote. Your body says yes. And when your body says yes, your brain starts rewriting reality to defend that decision. Now watch what happens on her side. Most women are not hit with that same instant, overwhelming physical urgency. Even if she finds you attractive, her psychology tends to move differently. Is he confident? Is he socially respected? Is he actually stable? Can this man handle pressure? How much does he need me? While your body is already half sold, she's still in evaluation mode. You lost neutrality the moment you decided you wanted her. She gained leverage the moment she realized she has an effect on you. She knows this without thinking. Most men become softer, more agreeable, more compliant once they're invested sexually or emotionally. And once she sees that switch, she starts running a different program. You call it chemistry. She treats it like information. 2. How lust hijacks the masculine frame. Lust isn't harmless. It isn't just a strong attraction. It's a neurological hijack. Once you're hooked, your dopamine spikes. Your focus narrows. Your brain starts prioritizing the possibility of intimacy over almost everything else. And then the slide begins. You start responding faster to her than you do to your own priorities. Reading her texts 3 times before replying. Worrying about her mood more than your mission. Trying to avoid upsetting her instead of standing on what you believe. You call this really liking her. What it actually is, your biology grabbing the steering wheel while your standards sit in the back. This is why men who are disciplined everywhere else suddenly become irrational in relationships. The businessman who can walk away from a bad deal will cling to a disrespectful woman. The athlete with brutal self-control and training has zero control over his reactions to her silence. The man who fears nothing physically becomes terrified of losing her approval. That's not weakness of character. That's uncontrolled attachment plus lust. And any woman who has lived long enough in the dating market has seen this pattern over and over again. That leads to the next problem. 3. The quiet calculation. What she's actually reading. While you're imagining a future, she's scanning data, not always consciously. Often it's just instinct and pattern recognition. She pays attention to things you don't even know you're broadcasting. Do you over explain yourself? Do you become apologetic the moment she pulls back? Do you tolerate small disrespect because you're scared of losing her? Do you light up when she texts and deflate when she doesn't? She's not just asking, do I like him? She's asking, how much power would this man give me if I decided to stay? Whether she's a good woman or a manipulative one, the question is still there. A healthy woman with integrity will notice your weakness and lose respect. An unhealthy woman will notice the same weakness and quietly exploit it. Either way, the result is the same. Your lack of control becomes the foundation of the dynamic. This is how power shifts, not in big, dramatic moments, but in tiny, repeated responses. She pulls away. You chase harder. She gets distant. You try to fix it. She disrespects you slightly. You rationalize it away. She learns every time. 4. Mixed signals are not random. They're a control mechanism. Men call it mixed signals. Let's be more precise. You're seeing intermittent warmth, strategic coldness, sudden distance after closeness, random spikes of affection followed by detachment. What does that create in you? Uncertainty. What does uncertainty create? Obsession, overthinking it, anxiety, emotional addiction. You start thinking, what did I do wrong? How do I get that version of her back? Maybe if I'm more patient, kind, available. Now pay attention. This on-off pattern is exactly how casinos hook gamblers. You don't win every time. You win sometimes. If you lost constantly, you'd stop. If you won constantly, you'd get bored. The addiction lives in the maybe. Some women instinctively create this dynamic, not because they studied psychology, but because they've learned that inconsistent attention makes men chase harder. They give you just enough warmth to keep you hopeful. Pull back to trigger your fear of loss. Offer occasional intimacy or softness as a reward when you become especially compliant. You think we're just going through a rough patch. No, you're inside a psychological loop. Reward, withdrawal, anxiety. Chase, small reward, repeat. Call it what it is, intermittent reinforcement. You would never tolerate this from a business partner, but from a woman you desire. You call it chemistry. 5. The shift from mutuality to leverage. At the start, you imagine equality. She likes you. You like her. You're both figuring it out. But here's what's actually happening most of the time. The moment your desire becomes obvious and her options remain open, the relationship stops being a mutual exploration and becomes a resource management. From her perspective, resources include your attention, your emotional labor, your time, your money, your protection, your social status. From yours, the main resource you want is her attention, affection, and intimacy. Now look at that imbalance clearly. You want connection. She wants leverage plus security. Again, not every woman is malicious. Many are not. But the environment, culture, and human nature push toward this pattern. The person with more options tends to think in terms of leverage. The person with less tends to think in terms of connection. If she senses you're already sold while she's still deciding, she doesn't feel compelled to fully show up. Why would she? She has your investment locked in. Now she can focus on extracting value while preserving her options. And if she's immature or narcissistic, she will intentionally keep you in that half-fed, half-starved state where you never quite feel secure, but you also never quite walk away. 6. Love versus control. What she actually values. Men bond through loyalty, loyalty shown back, respect, shared struggle, consistent affection. When a man loves deeply, he often sacrifices power without realizing it. He ignores disrespect. He stops enforcing boundaries. He apologizes for his own standards. He protects her feelings more than he protects his own dignity. Women, on the other hand, are taught by both biology and culture to value something even more than romantic feelings: control, control, safety, safety over, emotions, reputation, survival options. A lot of women will walk away from a man they love and stay with a man they control. Why? Because love makes them vulnerable. Control makes them feel safe. So if they ever feel you need them more than they need you, your identity is wrapped around them. You can't walk away even when you're being drained. That sense of control becomes more rewarding to them than whatever love story you thought you were in. Again, this doesn't make them evil. It makes them human in a system that punishes female vulnerability and rewards female leverage. But if you don't understand this, you will keep fighting the wrong battle. You're trying to prove you love her. She's trying to make sure you never have the power to hurt her. Different priorities, different moves. 7. How men quietly hand over power. A woman doesn't need to be a genius manipulator. Most men will give her power for free. All she has to do is be attractive, give some affection, threaten emotional withdrawal when challenged, and slowly you start to erode your own frame. You stop calling out disrespect. You minimize your standards. You avoid saying no because you're scared of losing her. You start explaining and defending every move you make. You know what that signals to her? This man is malleable, and the moment you become malleable, you become less respected, less desired. More controlled respect drives attraction. Control kills it. Most men try to fix this backwards. They try to win her back by more effort, more reassurance, more compliance. But your problem isn't effort. Your problem is leverage. You've convinced her that she is safe too. Pull away, punish with silence, talk to you however she wants, threaten to leave without losing access to you. That is the core of your suffering. Not that she's cold, that you have made that behavior safe for her. 8. What she sees when you lose yourself. You think she doesn't notice the small things. She does. She sees your posture change when she's upset, your tone soften when she withholds affection, you backing away from a boundary you just stated because she reacts emotionally. You know what she learns from that? I can move this man with my feelings. Once that conclusion lands, there are only two paths. A woman with integrity feels disgust and loses attraction. A woman without integrity feels opportunity and starts using that power. Either way, the same lesson applies to you. When your emotions are on a leash, you are not leading. You are being led. She may talk about wanting a strong man, but strength is not yelling or being alpha. Strength is simple. You see clearly. You decide clearly. You act consistently. You do not bargain with your self-respect. Lust destroys those pillars. Once you're emotionally drunk on her, you stop being that man. And from that moment, you're negotiating from weakness. 9. The only escape. From lust driven to sovereign. So what's the way out? No, it's not. Never care about women. Never fall in love. Never be vulnerable. That's just another prison. The real way out is this: learn to feel desire without letting it run your decisions. You move from lust to awareness impulse to strategy, scarcity, to abundance, desperation, to standards. Let's break that down into something practical. One outcome: independence. Outcome independence doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you care, but you don't beg. You want her, but you don't need her. You're invested, but you can walk away if your standards are violated. Most men are terrified of this reality. If I act like I can walk away, won't I lose her? Sometimes, yes. But here's the brutal truth. If you can't walk away, you've already lost. You lost the moment your fear of losing her became stronger than your fear of losing yourself. 2. Detach your worth from her response. As long as you believe her affection proves I'm valuable, her silence means I'm worthless or I'm outpost, you will always be easy to control. You need a separate, independent source of self respect: your work, your discipline, your integrity, your standards, your mission. Those must be stable, whether she's loving you or ignoring you. When your worth is intact without her, her entire power structure over you collapses. 3. Stop rewarding emotional weapons. Women learn what works. If she threatens to leave, disappears for days, has emotional outbursts, uses guilt, throws past mistakes at you whenever she wants something, and you respond with more reassurance, more effort, more apologies, more compliance, you're training her nervous system. When I weaponize emotion, I get rewarded. Flip it. You don't have to be cruel. You just have to be consistent. We don't talk like that. If you disappear, when you come back, access is not the same. If you want to discuss something, we do it calmly. If not, I disengage. You're not punishing. You're refusing to participate in chaos. Chaos cannot survive without your participation. 4. Maintain a real life outsider men who have friends, hobbies, work they care about, physical training, a mission bigger than dating, are harder to control. Why? Because their emotional world isn't contained in one person. If she pulls away, they feel it, but it doesn't erase their identity. Men who have no life outside of her become hyper reactive, hyper analytical, hyper available. And that state is incredibly easy to exploit. 10. How you flip the power dynamic without games. You don't need manipulation, you need consistency. Here's what flips the dynamic in your favor without playing stupid games. You respond slower, think faster. And not as a tactic, but because your life is full. You don't treat her message like an emergency. You question confusion instead of chasing it. Your behavior is inconsistent. I don't do uncertain, unstable dynamics. Either we're clear or I disengage. You walk when your standards are violated, not after 10 chances, not after 100 conversations. Once it's clear she's not interested in respect, you leave. You don't try to convince her of your value. You live your value. She either recognizes it or she doesn't. You're not in the business of selling yourself. You never let intimacy outrun respect. If the respect drops, access to you drops, no matter how much history or chemistry you have. You do this consistently, and something interesting happens. Women who live off of control and chaos will disappear quickly. Women who crave stability and respect will move toward you and relax. Why? Because real feminine energy feels safer when a man actually stands for something. The problem is, most men only stand for something until they fall for someone. 11. The hardest truth. The enemy isn't her. It's easy to walk away from this kind of content thinking women are the problem. No. The real enemy is your blindness, your inability to see when you're acting from lust instead of clarity, your willingness to trade respect for access, your fear of being alone, your dependence on female validation. Most women will use what works. Most men will avoid what hurts. If losing you hurts, she'll adjust. If staying with her breaks you and you tolerate it, she'll keep doing what works. The man who wins isn't the coldest, he's the clearest. He sees what's really happening, not just what he wishes was happening. The difference between affection and leverage, the difference between tests and outright disrespect. The moment his own behavior starts slipping into self betrayal, and then he acts, not with rage, not with games, with standards. 12. Bring it all together. Let's strip this down to the core. What usually happens, man feels lust. Lust hijacks his judgment. Woman senses his emotional dependence. She either loses respect or quietly gains control. Mixed signals and intermittent affection keep him hooked. He slowly sacrifices his frame, trying not to lose her. He wakes up resentful, drained, and confused, blaming her instead of seeing his role. What needs to happen instead? Man feels lust, but notices it, labels it. He refuses to let desire outrun standards. He evaluates her as much as she evaluates him. He doesn't hand over power in exchange for attention. He doesn't tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or emotional games. He is willing, really willing, to walk away when his peace, purpose, and self-respect are threatened. That man doesn't get played for long, doesn't get stuck in cycles he can't escape, doesn't spend years of his life twisted around someone else's control. He might still get hurt. He might still misjudge someone, but he never loses himself. And in the end, that's the only real win. Because once you understand this dynamic, lust stops being your master and becomes what it was always meant to be. A signal, something you notice, something you respect, something you control, not something that controls you. When you reach that point, a woman can be beautiful, sensual, magnetic, and you can still look at her and quietly ask yourself, does she deserve a place in my life or just my glance? When you can answer that honestly, without lust overruling you, you've already won the game she doesn't even know she's playing. And that's what masculine sovereignty really is. Not hating women, not avoiding connection, just never again trading your self-respect for access to someone who benefits more from your weakness than from your strength.